to say goodbye. Never more to say goodbye.
Song titled Ko Ke-E.
Days when we were younger, we used to catch Hōkū in the mountain stream. Round the Kūpaoa hills we'd ride on horseback. So long ago it seems it was a dream. And my heart called out to you, but I fear you won't be like I left you. Ke aloha ku home o ka halu. I remember days when we were wiser, when our world was small enough for dreams. And you have lingered there, my sister, and I no longer can, it seems. Last night I dreamt I was returning, and my heart called out to you, but I fear you won't be like I left you. Ke aloha ku home o ka halu. Change is a strange thing, it cannot be denied. It can help you find yourself or make you lose your pride. Move with it slowly as on down the road we go. Please do not hold on to me, we all must go alone. I remember days when we were smiling, when we sang and laughed the whole night long. And I will greet you as I find you, with the sharing of a brand new song. Last night I dreamt I was returning, and my heart called out to you. So please accept me as you'll find me. Me ke aloha ku home o ka halu. Me ke aloha ku home o ka halu. Me ke aloha ku home o ka halu. classic by Uncle Jerry Santos, Ku'uhomeo Kahalu'u.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Speechless. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Katie Zuber. I'm the co-host tonight for our 20th speaker series with HFUU, the Big 2-0. It's a big deal. I'm also in charge of membership and communications for the Hawaii Farmers Union. So if you have any questions, comments about anything membership related or communications related, anything you'd like to add to our weekly email newsletters that I send out every Wednesday, please email me. My email is hfuu@hfuu.org, or you can reply to any emails you receive from us and I'll get that as well. So tonight we have here with us our Lahaina chapter president, Kaipo Kekona, and manager of the Kūpaoa Agriculture Education Center in Lahaina, Maui. Very excited about this chat. We also have here with us the incredibly talented musical duo Kūpaoa, made up of Kellen and Līhau from Kauai. You just heard them play. I got the pleasure of hearing them perform here in Hana right before the pandemic started. Really special. One of the few times where I've bought a CD at a concert. Still listen to it all the time in my car. So, oh my gosh, of course. So Kaipo, Kellen, Līhau, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We are so grateful. Everyone joining us here, thank you for being here with us. It's evenings like this that I think are really special and just one of the many things that the Farmers Union does great in bringing our members and local farmers and people interested in regenerative agriculture all together. So if you do have any questions for any individual, please post it to the chat feature. Please post to everyone. If you have any specific issues, you can chat to me, the host of the Zoom call. We'll have a Q&A portion with Kaipo at the end. So once Kaipo starts chatting, if you have any questions for him, just post that in there and we'll get to that at the end. I'm going to pass things off to Vincent Mina, HFUU's president. Vincent,
Hey, aloha, Katie. Hey, everybody. Is she a natural or what? Good job, Katie. Good job. And Līhau and Kellen, thank you so much. And really happy that you're here tonight. It was a pleasure to chat with you and get to know you folks while we're doing the tech check earlier. And hailing out of Hawaii, I see our Vice President Annie's on the call tonight too. So I'm sure you folks will be connected as we move on from here too.
A fellow Kilauea resident. Awesome.
Another Kilauea resident. That's right. Yeah. And so that's very cool. And we have some of our leadership I see on the call tonight. Maureen Datas, our state secretary, is here tonight. So it's great. This is really something that has been building a lot of momentum on the internet around folks seeing the value of what HFUU presents. And one of the ways that we create value within our organization and doing these speaker and music series. So we're really happy that tonight is the 20th, and that's pretty cool. And it leads into our convention, which is going to happen November 11th through the 14th, but we'll talk more about that later. Let's hear some more music, though. I'd like to turn it over to you folks.
Right on. Before we go into our next song, I just wanted to say aloha to my classmate, Noah. How's it, Noah? Long time no see.
Aloha.
How are you?
Very good. Nice to see you all.
Thank you. Nice to see you too. We're going to do a song that takes us to the mountains, a classic written by Uncle Dennis Kamakahi, a song called Le Kupu Kupu.
Pala pala ea
Haina ia mai ana ka puana ea Kumaulei kupu kupu ala ea Nā leilua kaukala Na uelei no na kaua kau Kumaulei kupu kupu ala ea Haina ia mai ana ka puana ea Kumaulei kupu kupu ala ea Nā leilua kaukala Na uelei no na kaua kau Kumaulei kupu kupu ala ea Kumaulei kupu kupu ala ea Kumaulei kupu kupu ala ea 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 Sankalei kupu kupu Gonna bring me right back here to Kauai. Don't go just down the road from our house a ways. The beautiful district of Haena stretches from Haena Beach Park all the way to the end of the road there at K.A.E. And within those boundaries, the landscape there is so richly storied. We had the opportunity to learn from some of the kupuna of that area. And so we wove some of the stories into the lyrics of this original mele called Haena. Naniwale o Haena I ka e hukai One ka hela hela I ka mai e Mahana I ka o ka hua nui Ka hua ka unua pele me lohi au Mana I ho alo I ka moi Pani ho lopu Naniwale o Haena I ka e hukai One ka hela hela I ka mali e Mahana I ka o ka hua nui Ka hua ka unua pele me lohi au Mana I ho alo I ka moi Pani ho lopu Kuha o papaloa kia I ka lahi Holo holo ka manini ke kaipa pau He malu no kai a pili vale Popo haku o kane I ka iu Moi po haku loa I ke one O hawa Haena ka iwa iwa I ka lipo Kali iwa hine no hoi ka lai Kahiko I ka palai halupa Kulu kulu ka wai ka nao ka paku Ka meheu ka hiko Na mene hune Haena ka iwa iwa I ka lipo Kali iwa hine no hoi ka lai Kahiko I ka palai halupa Kulu kulu ka wai ka nao ka paku Ka meheu ka hiko Na mene hune
Ai,
We want to thank you
Ka.E.C.
guys again
no.
for having us, for allowing us to share some of our music with you folks, and mahalo for all of the good work that you guys are doing to regenerative agriculture is such an important thing for our islands here, and we're happy to be able to support you guys and that important work. Um, if
Līhau,
you
Hanoho, Hanoho, Hanoho,
well,
Hanoho.
yeah, if you're enjoying the music,
Oh, absolutely.
you can catch us every Thursday at 3:30. We do a live stream from our Facebook page, Kūpaoa. And it's fun. We go from like 3:30 to about 5 or so, and
It's like the only way that we stayed in the music during this whole year and a half of COVID
true.
by playing music for everybody online.
Yeah.
So come
So
join us.
it's a good
We're
fun
gonna
time.
do it as long as we're unemployed.
Well, you know, it's beautiful that you're sharing all this music. I was just sitting here and listening to you and knowing that you're expecting another baby. I'm thinking, oh, that baby going to come out dancing hula. You know, it's so sweet.
Hopefully.
And
Hopefully, we'll see.
my
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So,
Um,
Hanaho?
y- yeah, if we have time, I want to be respectful of your folks' time.
No, no,
And
no. Go,
hope
go.
you
It's
guys are
okay.
looking
It's
forward
okay
to
because
talking story with
because you're not
Kaipo.
going to be on the back end. We just
Yes.
enjoy it
Yes.
on the front end.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we're gonna as Katie was saying, our last off-island gig before the craziness of COVID was in Hana, and was on Maui, and we did a show in at the MAC, and as a part of their artisan community program, they took us to Hana to play for the folks there, and it was so awesome. Kellen had never been there, and we had our daughter who was then 4 months old. She was with us too, and my in-laws had come along as the nannies, and we
She was
drove
solid on the way in and
on
she
the way
cried
in.
52 bridges on the way
52
out.
bridges, all 52 bridges. Sister girl was not having it. We made the mistake of trying to drive out same day. It's too
Oh
much for that little
no.
girl. But in honor of that memory of that last gig in Hana, where we had a wonderful time, we hope to someday return. We're gonna do a song for Ke'anai. On the shores of Maui, there's a place called Ke'anai, where I stayed for a while in the old Hawaiian style, in the quietness, the peacefulness of Ke'anai. Once again, we call ourselves Kūpaoa. It's been our pleasure sharing our music with you folks this evening. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Katie, for inviting us to just share a little music with you guys, and we hope to see you all again soon.
That was so my Ka.E. Thank you very much,
Thank
folks.
you.
And especially that last song, I was mentored by Uncle Harry Kunahi Mitchell of K&I, and used to go work in the lo'i there with him, and he would sing this song. So
Such a great song.
yeah, it's so beautiful. And
Oh,
thank
right
you so
on.
much.
Awesome.
That was
Thank
really special. Thank you so much. You two
Thank
sound
you.
amazing together.
you.
Yeah, everyone should check out their website. They're on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook. Check out the Facebook Thursday, 3:30 p.m. And listen to all their music. Bombay is my personal favorite.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh, you
fun
want to
song.
play that? No, no.
No. No, thank you so much. We're so
Thank you,
grateful for the time that you've given us. So
Yes.
thank you.
And again, that's 3:30 on
3:30 every
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay, on Facebook Live. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Ka.E.No, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Mahalo
folks.
All
nui.
right, guys. Thank you.
Mahalo.
All right.
Everyone that's joined us tonight, I'll send out all the info from the musician and the speaker, so you'll all get links. So
And
yeah.
and you're welcome to listen in. I know you have a child to care for, but yeah, just thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Mahalo nui, folks. Aloha.
All right. So I'm just going to do a quick little spiel about membership for HFUU, and then we'll get the chat started. If you're just joining us, don't worry. We have recorded everything. This will be on YouTube tomorrow, first thing in the morning. And once again, please post any questions or comments you have in the chat feature for everyone to see. I know a lot of you are members here or you're heavily involved with HFUU. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you're looking to join or renew your membership and you need help, please reach out to me. I'm Katie, in charge of membership with HFUU. You can also always email me, hfuu@hfuu.org. So just real quick, we've got a couple really awesome things coming up. In August, there is a mini convention in the Big Island near Kohala. It's going to be in person and online, so a hybrid thing. Registration is coming out really soon, but just stand by on that. We're going to focus on cover crop, tea, food hubs, lots of cool stuff. There's a chapter nearby. I promise we've got 13 amazing chapters. And as you know, COVID restrictions ease, we're going to have more in-person meetings. So please, if you're a member, make sure you're getting the emails from us. I think that's the best way for everyone to get all of their information from their chapter. And you should be getting an email from your chapter every other month. And you should be getting an email from the state from me every single week. So if you're not receiving those emails, please reach out to me. We're going to have our in-person convention in Maui, November 11th to 14th. Super excited. You see all these smiling faces. This is from 2018 or 2019, I believe. I'm forgetting right now. 2019. There you go. So you don't want to miss this. That's coming up soon. So once again, Big Island Mini Convention, Saturday, August 7th. We've got an Oahu Mini Convention in September, date TBA. And then Maui, our big annual convention, will be November 11th to 14th. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Really, really appreciate having you here. I'm going to pass things off to Vince, our president of our Farmers Union, as you all know and love. And he's gonna chat with Kaipo. So let's get it started.
Right on, Katie. Thank you very much. And aloha, everybody. Nice to see a lot of our leadership on the call tonight, too. And I wanted to share something real quick with you folks. I was just on Hawaii Island with our State Secretary Maureen Data, and the president there, Chantel, took us. We went down to her community garden project. I feel it's more of a laboratory than a community garden. She's doing some amazing things there, and this young man by the name of Evan Lamb had a cardboard shredder, and as you can see here, here's a sample of it, and they're making this amazing vermicompost using this machine, which he said one day they set a record of 1,000 pounds of cardboard that they had shredded, and it literally, melts in the vermicomposting pits that they had. the worms just go through it. They just ravage through it so quickly. And so we see this as a potential to have within all our chapters an ability to have a community day where this machinery is there. And speaking of which, I'm walking the talk. I just ordered one for our farm. And I want to, up until the time that we can start getting grant money in to have all our chapters equipped with this technology to be able to shred cardboard, keep the cardboard out of the landfill as much as possible, and then be able to make amazing vermicompost with it. This project looks to be a great way to create value in the communities, in all our agricultural communities, to where folks can bring their cardboard and have a day of it to go home with some nice vermicompost castings. And so stay tuned for that. If there's anybody, any philanthropic folks on this call or got to hear this call and they want to donate to some project like that, please, donate to our foundation, HFUF, with the earmark that you want this to be towards that. We are a educational outreach organization that does legislative work. Our farm organization, we do a lot of legislative work representing our family farmers here in Hawaii, and also we do educational outreach and cooperative outreach. So this is something that really speaks to the ability for us to move this this renaissance of agriculture forward here in Hawaii around regenerative agricultural practices. And currently we're working, we have our core team working with NRCS as a part of our core team and bringing all the agricultural agencies together here in Hawaii to create a soil health initiative. And tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact, we're going to be meeting to bring forth an execution of some strategies that we want to bring forward in cover crops and cover crop seed development, and to have more and more of this attention being paid to the importance of soil health in our state to keep our farms resilient to constant production, and at the same time support our family farmers to lower their inputs and be able to, make a living at farming without undue stress associated with the already existing stress of feeding people. So it's really important that you folks are on the call tonight, and folks that hear this afterwards, that to support HFUU in whatever way you can, because there's folks that lead this organization that lean in a big way and give up their time. And so it's really important that they're supported so we can move this mission forward to create vibrant and prosperous agricultural communities here in Hawaii. So with that, we have one of our presidents tonight on the call. Aloha Kaipo. Kaipo Kekona out of Lahaina.
Aloha, my kako.
Aloha, brother man. How you doing?
Doing good, Vince. How about you guys?
Doing well. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And so excited that you're on tonight. I mean, this project in Lahaina, first of all, out of the gate, tell folks about it. I want you to describe the project that Kamehameha Schools supports through our foundation.
Well, so our project is named with us in this collaboration with us in the union and Kamehameha Schools is Kū'ia Agricultural Education Center. Kū'ia is the name of the ahupua'a in which we're located in. Kamehameha Schools owns the entire ahupua'a of Kū'ia, which is just shy of 1,400 acres. Our license agreement is sitting on just 12.5 acres of that overall landscape. There's only us and I guess you could call it 3 other farms. One is a chocolate farm, the Maui Kū'ia Estate Chocolates, and then you have the solar farm project. I guess it qualifies as a farm on ag lands. But our goal there is to basically, historically in Lahaina, we're first of all, we're in former Kane lands. And even more so back further than that, it was the pinnacle of an old food forest system that was known in Lahaina as Ka Malu Ulu Lele. And this food system consisted of everything the native people of Lahaina needed to sustain themselves in their environment, in their society and community. There was food crops, there was crops for clothing and medicinals and all your hardwoods for the many different various implements they needed, whether it was for fishing, farming, warfare, housing, they had it all present within this food forest system. And so historically, looking into the history of Lahaina and being a very proud Native Hawaiian in Hawaii, we're happy to get on board and participate in the restoration efforts of a small fraction of that food forest system. The food forest system was known to cover roughly about 10.5 square miles. So if you're familiar with Lahaina, it went from Launiopoko clear on over past Mala Harbor into the Ahupua'a of Waiikuli. So that's kind of the scope that it went from. And this historical food forest system goes far as is dated as far back as the 1300s. If you're familiar with some of the history, Kaka'alaneo was the ali'i that was responsible for, as far as we have documents to know, he was responsible for the better half of the creation of this food forest system known as Ka Malu Ulu Lele. Ka Malu Ulu generally translates to the shade of the breadfruit tree. We've done extensive research, and we try to stick best as we can to get right back into that. And then, of course, we have a diversified system where we've moved into some citrus and a little bit of we have a lot of our native bananas and our native sugarcanes, but we've also have a little bit of some dwarf bluefield bananas being established out there. We try to find the appetite for our community that's out there as well, you know. So we have a lot of papayas that we've established, various different varieties, and we just kind of have this mix of everything going on there that we want to have share and establish. We're moving into some of our more art ag for what we have, you know, growing some of our new plants that were utilized to make dyes for dyeing some of our kapa and our lauhala weavings, and even finding arts that used to make implements with ipus and dyeing the ipus and having those kind of excelled art projects take place in the site. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, we do a lot of educational outreach programs. Like I said, we've dived into historical research so deep in there. We found a Ku'i program, so the process of making poi with various different things like ulu, kalo, and sweet potato. Right. We've identified an old curriculum that was developed in Lahaina and was known as poi slingers. We've just been introducing that back into our community now. We did our second trial at a farmer's market. We do it here in Lahaina, and we just started in Wailuku. We organize our papa ku'i'ai and our pohakus, and we go out into our markets and into our community, and we hold educational curriculums to teach how to ku'i or kalo ulu, and we also starting to look into marketing it as well. So we have to sustain our farm project at the same time.
Well, you know, whew, beautiful picture, broad picture you painted about what you're doing there. So I wanted to focus in on a few of the things that you were talking about. I know we have Noah Lincoln on tonight, and Noah, when he was giving his presentation back in the day of one of the speaker series, he was talking about that belt of ulu that was on Mauna Loa that they had historical data on, and it sounds like they were following the same belt of in the hills there in Lahaina. You shared that there's this is all old sugarcane land, and so what are you finding with the land? You got on the land. What was the first thing that you found when you started to work with the soils and the environment there as far as trying to grow food?
Well, so when you first get into Lahaina, you can quickly observe, much like any other leeward side of our islands, it's dry. Pretty desolate, and as far as agriculture goes in our region of Lahaina, there's not much to speak for of now with the disappearing of Kane, and we have some large-scale coffee estates and small farmers popping up here and there, but our lands are very dry.
No, in that spirit, Kaipo, I'm sorry, but in that spirit, the lands are very dry. Wasn't Lahaina known as the Venice of the Pacific? Can you explain about that and why now it's so dry?
Yeah, so when you dig into our soils, normally if there's any type of moisture in the soils, you'll find some existence of life, right? So in our soils, you can turn over rocks, and if you're lucky, you'll find a scorpion. That's about it, you know, maybe a beetle or something, but not much life in there. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we're dealing with currently. And then historically, yeah, you know, some of the native testimonies and as well as the foreign testimonies that we've dug up in describe Lahaina as a totally different view, a totally different perspective. And there was waterways that traverse throughout the whole entire moku, going from Ukumehame clear on over to Kaanapali Moku, and the oldest OI system. Two of the things that we get to claim proudly in Lahaina that are still, there's still fragments of it that exist historically intact today is Awai Vao, who was the daughter. Vao was the daughter of Kaka'alaneo, and she designed, as from what we discovered, is the oldest OI system in Hawaii. A lot of people like to reference Kauai as having the oldest OI system, a ditch system, an irrigation ditch system, but we found that the documentation of the establishment of a vowel, Hawaii vowel, is much older than the Kauai, almost 100 years older. And then there's Pi'ilani, which came about another 150 years later. Time of Pi'ilani was another chief that was known throughout all of Maui. He built the longest OI system ever documented in Hawaii. That OI system traverses over 4.5 miles, and it's still, for a small fraction of it, still exists deep going into the mountain range that we have in Kauaula Valley. So the Venice of the Pacific was referenced in one of our native or our foreign testimonies as one of the botanists that traveled on one of the whaling ships that came here. They documented what they've seen and what took place there. So there's numerous waterway systems that traverse throughout the Moku, and then there's, you know, traditionally, for the most of it in Hawaii, you'll find fish ponds that were existed and established in Hawaii, known as local i'a, and those were commonly found in the ocean. And then there's something called a Kūpaoa, which is an inland fish pond. Lahaina didn't have any fish ponds that were in the ocean. All of their fish ponds took place in the land. Now that speaks to you of the large, vast amount of water that was available in Lahaina. And the difference between a Kūpaoa and an ocean fish pond should be pretty simple to understand, that it was more mainly dependent upon freshwater sources, whereas a local i'a was dependent upon saltwater sources. Right. So that kind of tells you a little bit about the water's perspective and projects that image. Now, what happened to a lot of people when we talk about this amazing depiction of an area, the first question is, what happened to it and where is it all now? And well, when the plantation established, they burned the food forest 3 times to erase it and take away, to clear the fields to allow it for mass planting of sugarcane. So the last things that stood in the food forest that they had to burn, the reason why they had to burn them 3 times was the ulu trees. The ulu trees stood there still after 2 fires of mass burning. And what they took all the leftover charred lumber and wood and material, and they piled them around the ulu trees and set those back on fire again. And that was the 3rd large fire that took place in order to remove that food forest system of Lahaina. Wow. We've actually did historical studies on mapping in the Mahele and found that there was, in the Mahele, so the Mahele was a land register that the Hawaiian Kingdom government did. And in that land register, they identified what lands were being utilized by the people, and they had to register what food sources were available that they were making use of on their property in order to claim it. So that was the very beginning of Hawaiians having any type of ownership over period. And when they did that, Lahaina is the only, if you go through the entire Maui, which is what we call the state today, was a kingdom-wide canvas, and Lahaina was the only place that has any ulu trees registered in the Mahele. Today, we've identified 5 of those trees that are in the same exact location that were identified in the Mahele, and they're still there today. We can't say that they're the same exact trees, but we can say that they're in the same exact location, and they are of the native Hawaiian variety or strain of ulu. So that's kind of another project we're doing as well in our site.
Yeah, that's a beautiful historical review, Kaipo. You know, it's so nice to know that you're um, keeping that historical knowledge and sharing it in a way that folks can best understand that area. I know, you know, you've been dealing with a lot of challenges on the site with fire and with wind. Can you share about, you know, in moving this project forward? And you know, let's just on the onset, Kamehameha Schools has been so generous in bringing uh, uh, forward this project and helping to not only financially support it but also open up the lands to it. And it would be really wonderful if other folks who could also chip in to be able to help support that, so it's not just on Kamehameha Schools, since they have so many projects going on throughout the state. And it's almost like we're trying to you know uh, spray on a bonfire, you know, and bringing our agricultural systems back um, with such limited resources. So tell us with the challenges that you've been experiencing, but also the successes in what you've done in rebuilding those soils to. I mean, I'm just so amazed. The last time I was there, you saw how I was like a little kid in the candy store, you know, seeing all the life that you brought back to that area by your practices. So can you share all that, please?
Sure. So challenges, 2017, I believe it was, maybe 18, we had Hurricane Lane, if many of you might remember that. So, you know, as a farm, we prepare for a hurricane, we think of winds and heavy rain. So we made our adjustments for any flooding possibilities and erosion efforts. And we took down our greenhouse structure shade cloth, and we prepared as best as we could for that type of environment. Lo and behold, at 1 o'clock in the morning, somehow a brush fire started up in the middle of a hurricane. And the brush fire burned thousands of acres in Lahaina, and just so happens, unfortunately, we were just getting started in our project. We've just planted a mass planting out with our community. We had 70 ulu trees out in our fields, another 77 coconut trees, and 55 kukuina trees. And all these trees were getting established, Milo and Ko. All these things were known historically to be mainly effort and utilized to do what we call kipulu, which is known as mulching. So we looked into kipulu practice of Hawaiian culture, and we wanted to provide what was necessary to begin the restoration of the soils. We mentioned earlier, we're largely depleted. We've done soil samples and testing, and it was very low in every aspect that you would look for to be successful in farm. So we knew we had a lot of work to do. So we experienced fire, Hurricane Lane. We were up at 1 o'clock in the morning. We had to get as much as we could of our farm out of there. We then did evacuations of our community nearby, our senior citizen center. We quickly helped them evacuate that area. So that was just a mad mess and crazy experience. And then Lahaina, historically, for wind context, we have one very famous destructive wind. And according to statistics of science, it should show up averagely on every 40 years. Unfortunately, on year 3 in our project, we experienced what we believe were the Kaula winds. We've been consistently observing or kilo on our makani, on all of our wind systems, and we've identified what we hope to be confident in, 8 of our different winds that we are known to have in Lahaina. We feel that we've experienced and identified them here on our site. Now, Kaua'ula, the kamakani of Kaua'ula, is referenced in many songs, and it is a very destructive wind that one does not want to have present at any given time, unless you need some kind of a disturbance in a large scale. This wind took down trees that we experienced, took down trees that were up for as long as I've been around in Lahaina. It took roofs off of buildings, and we're not talking about like old plantation house structures. We're talking modern mall systems were knocked over in this wind event. So it was very strong. We have a weather station established in our farm site, and it gave us readings of 86 mile per hour winds. Now we had a steel structure greenhouse on our farm site that was supposedly rated pound for pound the strongest steel structure you can order. It was a beast. We put that thing together. It was a heavy structure, to say the least. And that thing just ripped our arch to column hands brackets. It squeaked out all of our columns. It twisted a bunch of arches. And the structure, when we read into it, supposed to be able to sustain up to 80-mile-per-hour winds. And we clearly experienced slightly over those. So that was another challenge we had. But, you know, being in Lahaina, something different about us. We have tough current and we learn to swim really well. And so when you get knocked down, you know, everybody knows it's not about how you fell, it's more about how you pick yourself back up. And part of that is important, is to find a silver lining in all of it, you know. So that's what we did. We looked to the bright side of everything we could. We found all the positives in all the destruction and the mayhem that we experienced, and we kept moving forward. We got a lot of support from Kamehameha schools. Go ahead, Vince.
No, just beautifully so. Beautifully so. You folks have really, you and Jade and the team there has just really have made a significant rebound. And I'm really heartened to see that.
Yes. So part of that success as well is I mentioned a little earlier that we have a large coffee farm establishment here in Lahaina. And fortunately for us, we are born and raised here in Lahaina, so we have a good network and web within our community. We know a lot of different people from all corners of life, and we know a bunch of the people that work and manage in that coffee farm system. So what we did is we were able to harness that resource of their product, which is coffee parchment, the husking and shells of the coffee bean. After they're done processing it and getting their beans, we've brought all of that parchment to our farm site. And now we're to the point where they are dumping tons of it at our farm site, which is great. It's there's studies that reveal the success of using different mediums in composting or mulching and applying them into your farm. And coffee parchment falls in the bracket of number 4 to be the best in the scale. Promising, you know, a 33% increase. I really shouldn't be saying this because I have to go and protect that resource after that.
Especially from me, right?
But yeah, it's definitely a gold mine for us, and we really appreciate it. It's helped us tremendously. It's brought so much vigor back to the landscape in a short time frame. We've also partnered up with a lot of our tree trimming companies in Lahaina town that do a lot of work around here. Of course, we need to watch, and we got a little log that we developed with the companies that, you know, let us know where they come and where they've done work, because we want to make sure we're not what they're bringing in and what we don't want to have, you know.
Right.
We got to consider what seeds are brought in through that mulching. You got to consider what pests may be coming in, what kind of diseases. So we keep in touch with CTAR, and we make sure to find out if any of those alarm in our region of Lahaina and where they are, where the hot zones are, and make sure that when those tree trimmers come onto our farm site, we want to know that the work they're bringing in is not from those hot zones.
Right.
So that's another challenge that we have, but it's definitely working hand in hand. We're definitely looking at, and we've been doing a lot of composting in our site, and we've resourced out into our fishing community, and we've gathered a lot of the carcasses from the fishes that are brought into our harbor. So locally sourced fish carcasses that normally go into the restaurants, we collect the bones and the heads and the guts, and we mix those within our wood chipping and coffee parchment, and then some of our natural soils from our farm site. We just kind of do a 1/3 mix with a bunch of fish guts and all that kind of stuff and add it in there and let that break down and take its place. We're seeing a lot of success there as well. And yeah, life is slowly making its way right back into the field out there.
I love it, and rightfully so, because it, you know, a great dear friend of HFUU, Jerry Brunetti, once said to me that nature only wants to collaborate and cooperate with us, and true enough, here you are collaborating, cooperating with and emulating the architecture of nature, and look at the results you're getting. some big taro growing, and the ulu trees are just so healthy and vigorous. Now you're holding educational outreach events there in your greenhouse, yeah, and really wonderful job on you know, saying, okay, Wins, you're gonna come back again. Well, this time you're gonna hit a greenhouse that's gonna be ready for you. You know, you did really a wonderful job on reconstructing the greenhouse. And so, can you talk about your educational outreach you're doing, and which I saw the nursery inside. It's really looking good. All the starts you got going on. And then there's a question. Noah Lincoln was saying, well, first address that, and then we'll address Noah's question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so educational outreach, we get into the schools. It's something I've been doing. I've got 4 kids, and ranging from 14 down to 2, and been heavily involved with our school curriculums and garden building. There's always a passion for me to make sure that our kids get to have a good experience and exposed to a lot of the different opportunities that we have in our community. So having this farm system take place as an educational center was definitely a no-brainer for me to get it into the school programs. Working with Grow Some Good, doing some programs there. We've gone all around. We've got a family first farming program where we've recruited some of our community members, and we've been just sharing the different farmers and practices that we have within Lahaina to our community and encouraging them during this pandemic. A lot of people have woken up in a certain degree and value farming and food security efforts for our own community in a different light now. So we've took advantage of that situation. We've started up a farmers market down at Lahaina Jodo Mission every second and last Thursday of the month. And we do educational reaches out there. We teach them about the different KNF practices that we've adopted as well, more so in a kanaka natural farming method. We try as much as possible to utilize all our natural resources that we have on site and within our wahi or within the area of our region. And that's kind of how we're working that system. So, and then we got our Kū'i program going on. That's another educational outreach thing, building community gardens and assisting in different farm plots and community farming zones as well is what we've been working on lately. That's kind of just a nutshell of all the different, honestly, I really enjoy working with the community. I love educating everybody as much as we can, but it's a tough thing to do when you want to farm and educate and curriculum developments and all these things. It seems like we can't get away from it. We stepped into it, and now we're just swimming through it all. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and talk to us about Jade, the work. 1 + 1 = 3. I know your wife is there in support also daily, and so talk about your crew there and what you're doing and how they
Gladly.
doing.
Gladly. Jade is a blessing. I can't even think of the best way to describe the girl. She's born and raised in Lahaina. Her family is well connected in our community and is definitely contributors to our community and society in all different scopes. She's a whiz in tech, and I have no expertise in that area at all. As a matter of fact, everything that I can do on Zoom and emails and all of that has largely been enhanced by Jade's efforts. Without her, you guys would not be hearing much from me because I would have to either be on the phone or in person. But she's definitely, a go-getter, man. She works just as hard on the field as she does in the computer, and laying things out and getting out into our community and always reminding me that, hey, we're doing all of this, but we got to make sure we do this, and we're doing all of that. Yeah, there's a picture of us up there.
Yeah.
That's our greenhouse. You can see numerous ulu trees and some nonis, and we got some avocados in there, some kukui and willy willy. So those just are some of the stuff that we spread out into the field, and we have some sour sap in there as well, a lot of different tea leaf, and just a various mix amount. We got a lot of ground covers, native ground covers going out there. Nanea, we have a bunch of perennial peanut taking place, some pahuo hi'iaka and pohuehue. So that's just kind of the stuff we're doing. We just built out a big trellis system. We're going to be doing a lot of lily koi on that trellis. there's a demand for that in our community.
Oh, good.
And who doesn't like Lele koi?
That's right. And with that, Kaipo, the vitality. That's why I wanted to make sure I got the picture. Got the picture up. The vitality is just so, telling. And here I'm going to put another picture up here. One of my favorites. There you go. And two of your children and how they're there, and they're just loving being there as part of the family farm. And so it's something where we have really a blessing in this project, representing not only agriculture. Let's put up this picture here of what's possible there in Lahaina, but how the family is interwoven into that, and that's critical. That's essential. And here you go next to some of your beautiful kalo growing, and coconut tree, and I mean it's just the vitality is just speaks for itself, and that's what excited me in this whole process of getting there. And let's talk about this here. This is a project I'm gonna put up here as I navigate through some of these pictures. This is a project that you are in relationship with the county of Maui, right? A grant we got from your council member there. Can you speak about the Family First gardens you got going on here?
Yeah, definitely. So, farming without your family, if you have a family, is just it's not realistic, on my opinion. They call it agriculture for a reason. There's culture involved in there, and every culture has family in it. So definitely having my wife and my kids come along is the highlight of it all. Um, what kind of job can you have that you can include your kids on site with you? And my kids, let me tell you, we have a rose beetle problem that's taking place. I think it's fair to say that it's spread pretty wide across Maui. As far as I've talked to numerous farmers from Kūpaoa and Kane and Wailua all the way to down Kihei into Lahaina. And my two little kids, they're gun-ho at catching those guys. They'll dig them up in the mulch piles, and they'll go and pull out all the larvae, and they just enjoy it, man. They go to town on that stuff. And how much more can you ask for, bro? They're going and catching them off of the trees and all our plants. So family is definitely a no-brainer for me. Definitely involved heavily in our culture. So that's where family comes in, and I couldn't have it any other way. And then for our Family First farming program, we were, it's not something like I mentioned earlier. We started off, doing some educational curriculums, just trying to get ourselves out there, contribute to the community. We didn't want to ask for our community to come and help us right off the bat. We wanted to be able to reach out and help our community.
Right.
And that's what we started off with, and that's how we got into those curriculums and programs. And then, you start to realize like, hey, we're getting kind of deep in on this, and we want to spend more time on the farm. So we tried to cut back on a few of our programs that we were doing. And then we were approached by our county council member, and she, expressed her passion and desire to have some engagements within our community to work with our site and see if we could produce enough time in our schedule to work with our community and develop programs and farming practices and expose them. So that's what we've been doing. We've been working with numerous farmers within our community, much like the FAM program that the union has. Actually, the way we've seen it, it was a motivator for us here in K.A.E.C. and Lahaina's chapter, was that we could utilize this Family First program to be like a stepping stone or a funnel, if you will, into the FAM program.
Right.
We weren't successful in recruiting too many of our community members into the FAM program for whatever reasons it may be. We couldn't identify them. And what we offer in our Family First program is a very centralized, cultural-based learning program, basic formats on just, irrigation developments and how you can produce soil retention practices and we try to look at all of that and just implement it, invasive species, weed suppression efforts with an organic method and practice. So we utilize a lot of that stuff and our raw materials to try and work with those practices. And then we were successful in doing that in our farm site. So we wanted to share that with our community. And when we did so, we've got a lot of traction, and now we got people like asking us if we're going to continue with the program. So we got to make sure that we can reform that a lot, because it's taken a lot from us. We've went and done it on every Saturday, and now we're realizing like, hey, we got markets on Sunday, we've got every Saturday.
Right.
First programs, we're working Monday through Friday on the farm. We don't got a day off. So we realized that we gotta kind of look back and take a look at our calendar and schedule and replan that system and make sure we can get at least a day in between every 2 weeks.
Well,
But
and I'm going to share this picture here. I mean, look at this. You repurposed the greenhouse that had got caught in those winds to make some trellises for lilico'i vines. So really, as you know, and others that work the land, we got to be MacGyvers, and here you are successfully doing that to repurpose stuff and be able to support the vision of growing more food there. Which was really telling to me, and you can see all the parchment that's laid down here, like you were talking about, is how the land just responds. Yeah, Kaipo, how it just responds when you malama the aina malama us. Yeah, and so it's a beautiful thing. The vitality in the plants is very palatable, and it just really it's a testament to all the hard work you're putting in there. So Noah had brought up a point about that he had planted 30 trees, 6 different varieties when he was on the farm, and he said that he had heard the entire plantings burn, but he saw an aerial photo and it looked like most of the variety trial was spared. Do you know if that variety trial survived?
So what I believe he's speaking to is when Simon Russell and James Simpliciano first started off this program, they had planted out some ulu trees. Like, I'm surprised to know that it was alongside with Noah Lincoln. I'm very happy to know that. I've definitely been following Noah's research and study. We look into a lot of his readings and definitely take what we can from them, and we've definitely appreciated that stuff. My sister is also within the USDA NRCS, and she spoke of a conversation she had with Noah Lincoln in a study that they're revealing that the native sugar canes are producing nitrogen, and we're flooding our fields with our native sugar cane because it was known to be well used and accepted within our mulching practices of old Hawaii. So we definitely were like, oh yeah, we need to grow sugarcane, but now we're finding out that our native varieties are producing nitrogen. We're like, yeah, double win. We're totally onto something there.
So
But
it's nitrogen fixing the native.
Yeah, the native sugarcane. Apparently, that's what, according to my sister's conversation with Noah, they've discovered that some of our native sugarcanes are producing nitrogen, which is great.
That is amazing. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah,
we've been allowing the rattle pod, plant to grow because it just shows up naturally on our farm site anyway. So we've been allowing that to be part of our nitrogen fixing practices. They're easy to pull, easy to manage. As long as you catch them before they seed, they're part of the sun hemp. So we let those guys take place, and then now we're even more excited to find out that our sugarcane will help us along that facilitation as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So back to those ulu trees, we've had, so I think Noah, guys, if I stand correct, he said 36 he planted, and after that fire took place, we've had 16 of those survive.
Okay.
Now the place burned. It didn't like burn largely. We were already like starting to do our mulching practices, and we were putting out irrigation in all of the fields. We're not sure what happened to spare us for whatever reasons, but yeah, that place, our entire landscape was scorched and burned. It was black and brown. And that ulu orchard section was one of those parts that were, for the most of it, spared. We quickly rebuilt our irrigation. It took us about, a few months to rebuild all the irrigation that burned away in the field. So not only the fire was part of the contribution to losing a lot of our different crops we had out there, but after that, we didn't have water for a while. You know, all of our irrigation systems that were installed were burned from our field. So we had to, first of all, find the funds to try and reestablish to purchase all of our material, and then get out into the field and reestablish them all and put them all back out there. So that was another challenge we had to go through. Fortunately, I guess you could say, you know, we were familiar with the field and we knew what we needed to do. So that wasn't a part of designing anything. We just had to rebuild it all. And our team is just me, Jade, and my wife. And you know, I got my children that assist in laboring as well. But you know, it's a task to try and cover that kind of landscape and keep it irrigated. So we had to do a lot of that. Although it looked, you know, to the most of it that it spared, the fire spared that spot, most of our surface irrigation drip lines were all melted. They didn't like get incinerated and disappear, but they were melted. And we had a big crew of people show up out of our community to support us in that cleaning effort. And then we had to go and rebuild our irrigation. We have 16 of those original trees that were planted that survived.
That's wonderful. And Noah just commented saying that he's glad some of them made it. You know, Kaipo, what can folks do that are either live in Lahaina or on Maui and traveling to Lahaina? How can they connect with you to be able to come kokua and you know, just plug into what you're doing there? And is there any particular days that work best for folks to be able to come by to do something, do some community work, and come onto the land there?
Yeah, we definitely welcome and appreciate any help from anyone. I believe on the flyer for tonight's fireside chat, we have our social media handles on our Instagram and Facebook. We are constantly out there in the community. If you find us, give us a holler. We can take down your information and we'll keep you in our email links and chats when we have our community work days. We've just finished one 2 weeks ago on a Saturday. We've managed to cover up a large landscape with our topsoil mulching and composting efforts. We've managed to do a bunch of transplants from our seed props and all our little seedlings and transplant them out into the field, as well as into larger 1-gallon pots from our little trays, our dibble tube trays, and getting them into the bigger pots just to have them a better success rate when we take them out into the field. So, I mean, we are more than happy to have anybody. We're there every Monday through Friday. Never fails unless I have to go to our strategic planning convention. Just coming up around in a little bit. I won't be there on a Thursday and a Friday, but we're always there, and we're more than happy to have anybody stop by at any time. You can hit us up on any of our media handles. You guys got I believe my email is out there as well. If you get into our social media pages, you'll find all of our information where you can contact us, and we will arrange any day, and you can always come in on any of our community days and support us. If you're from Lahaina, please join the chapter. I mean, we're out there, we're looking, we're not pushy in our community. It's kind of sensitive that way. We find that if you insist on things and you try hard, you find less attraction in our community, and our community definitely is attracted by your performance. You know, actions speak louder than words. That's how we roll in Lahaina. We don't push on anyone. We try our best to show you that we mean well and we are pure in heart and effort, and we want to build our community to have a sustainable system where we won't have to worry so much in the event of a pandemic like what we've just experienced.
Right.
That's
And,
really
you know,
what we want to do with our community.
And that comes across loud and clear by your actions, brother. And you know, with our convention being on Bobby Paia's farm over, you know, around the other side of Mauna Kalavai, you know, there's going to be they're erecting a Papa Ku'i, a Hale Ku'i, I should say, yeah, and there'll be demonstrations around all that, and I trust you'll be part of all that and bring them your knowledge and your experience there.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and you know what you referenced about our strategic planning, I wanted to let everybody know that you'll be attending is from August 5th through the 8th, we're going to be on Starseed Ranch in Kohala. Our Kohala president, Dash Kerr, who has hip agriculture, and he does educational outreach for Na Keiki and through hip agriculture, and that's his farm at 34 acres. And Vincent Kimura is on the call tonight, who's our president from Waimanalo chapter. Vincent, can you unmute yourself? Katie, can you unmute Vincent? I wanted him to talk a little bit about the mini convention that he's working on building. That's going to be a segue into our annual convention in November. We're doing these 2 mini conventions, one in Kohala and one in Waianae, with plantings of cover crops. And there he is. Hey, Vince, how you doing, brother?
Hey, everyone. Sorry, I'm driving.
That's all right. Well, keep your eyes on the road. But can you talk to the mini convention?
Yeah, happy to. So we're really excited. One of the newest things we're doing for HFUU is expanding a lot of the work we've been doing from last year. And again, for us, highlighting, sharing stories amongst all the great things that's happening throughout our state, especially around regenerative agriculture, has always been a priority for us. So the mini convention is something that we're doing to ensure that our island members on each island is best served. So if you're available on August 7th, please come up, contact your chapter leadership. We're going to have some really great kind of educational events. We're of course going to be eating some great food. It'll be an all-day activity, so we're including some farm tours, etc. So please stay tuned to that. We'll be doing a bunch of cover crop information, demonstrations. We've got some other really fun panelists that we're going to be announcing very shortly. And then obviously for those of you who are on Oahu, we've got our mini convention for Oahu, which is the end of August, the 28th. So stay tuned for that information as well. And just as a teaser, we're developing basically a mini documentary series, one on cover crops. So we're showcasing a lot of the work that Vince Mina and Travis Tomlinson is doing from NRCS on the use of cover crops, especially on diversified small-scale agriculture. So that'll be really fun. And then we're also doing a food hub related mini documentary on movement of food between Oahu and the Big Island. So we're highlighting the work that Maureen Dada and Jane Dada have been doing at adaptations, as well as Saleh Azizi and Christian Zuckerman from Kahumana. So that'll be really, really enjoyable. And we'll be presenting a lot of this stuff at our annual convention on Maui.
Well, that really well said, Vince. Thank you so much for sharing all that, because in essence, folks, as you're seeing tonight, that some of our leadership speaking here, you multiply that out and it's like Electric Avenue. Everybody's so excited. When you build the vitality of the land builds the vitality in you. I mean, it's a common cultural practice that Kaipo was referencing earlier. That's why the name agriculture is steeped in the culture of what that represents. And so we're really fortunate within HFUU that we have such strong, astute, passionate, and valued young leadership. I'm getting up there, folks, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to be doing this work, and I'm really heartened to know that we have some amazing young leaders in Vincent and Kaipo and Dash and Maureen, and who are really well, Maureen, she's probably like myself. We're making our Chantel. Maureen's been grooming Chantel there in Kona to a young leader to continue to bring these young leaders forward. And Annabelle, who's our vice president there in Kauai, we've been so heartened to know that when we come to strategic planning, that there'll be all these young leaders there who are so passionate. Reba O'Day, our treasurer, we're so fortunate to have so much of a powerhouse of young leadership within our organization. And so we're looking forward to all that's coming forward. We appreciate the fact that Kaipo, you shared some amazing information with our community tonight. And as I want to give you a final few minutes here, Kaipo, to share anything else with your father-in-law, the work that he's been doing over there in Lahaina and for the community as a whole. I know that he has led marches around the island in raising awareness. Can you please speak to some of that and just let folks know anything else you'd like to share about your work and what you've been doing over there, Kaipo?
Thank you, Vince. Thank you very much. I actually wanted to get something in there real quick before I ran out at any time, or if I forgot. I mentioned earlier that it's just me, my wife, and Jade, and my kids on the farm. That's us on the ground. But really, a big shout out, and I cannot express how much I appreciate Annie Bruch over on Kauai. She's in our union. She's our treasurer. She's our vice president. She's an all-around go-getter. We couldn't, she's always there for us. Takes our calls, takes our emails, organizes all of our reports with us, and really teaches us how to do all that, language that the different entities that we're working through need to hear, whether it's the county, Kamehameha Schools, OHA, and all these different organizations that we're working through. She's there for us on that process, and I really appreciate her all the time. She's always there. She's hands down, definitely a backbone in part of the team. And Maureen, everybody in the union, as well, without their support and letting us take the helm on this project here and move forward with us, it wouldn't be possible. Everybody definitely has a role in it, whether it's casting a vote or just giving us the heads up and the appreciation, the thumbs up there, and just saying, you guys are doing good things. It's important for us to hear those things. I really appreciate everything the union's been producing for us, and we're all involved in that process. That's what I definitely wanted to get out there and say. Maureen, I've known her since before I even had this project. I've been a part of the union for quite a while. I was the member in Mauna Kea Hawaii's chapter. And I can remember going to conventions when I really wasn't even sure what I was getting involved in, but I've always seen Maureen around, and she always had that warm smile and that welcoming greeting thing and all the registration processes. I'll never forget her, and I'll always remember her anytime I'm around, and all the things that resonate through the union. She's definitely one of those faces for me that stand out there, alongside just as much as you, Vince. Without you, the union wouldn't even have been started. So my hat goes off to everyone that's involved, and especially the longtime committed people that have continued to support the union. Without you, none of this would have ever been possible. My success reflects definitely upon your guys' success in the efforts that you've made to make this all possible. So I very much appreciate all of that effort, and I will continue to do my best to do what we do here in Lahaina in hopes that we can spread it all out throughout the communities of Hawaii and even further out than that.
I'm glad Kamehameha.
About my father-in-law,
yeah, please.
Yeah, Kamehameha Schools, of course. Without them, I think none of this would have took place at all for us in Lahaina.
Yeah, Venus and
Wow, 3 different liaisons we've been through. Hokuau, Mahi'ai, Hulu, who's now currently our liaison, our brother on Molokai, who's also farming and an educator as well. Kamehameha Schools, hands down, is the largest support in this system next to the union. We can't express our gratitude for all of those effort and that support.
And they're going to be a major.
My father-in-law, his name is.
They're going to be a major sponsor of our convention, Kamehameha Schools, and they've already.
Yeah, they continue to support the union.
And Gary Albiz is sponsoring this speaker series here. He's a graduate of our FAM program and is on the call tonight. Speak about your father-in-law. We have a few more minutes, so please. His
name's Keamoku Kapu. If you haven't heard of him, he's well known throughout the state. He's also identified as an activist, definitely a cultural OEV leader. We run a cultural center down here in town known as Na ʻekane o Maui, the Companions of Maui. We teach cultural curriculums. I teach classes on Tuesday nights. I teach a youth program here at our center. We do cultural food prep. We do cultural arts and performing arts. We do land research and genealogy support with our community and our native Hawaiian people. We do marches around the island to create awareness, as well as to perpetuate the practices and traditions of our kupuna, our ancestors. My father-in-law has led 3 marches that circumnavigate the island of Maui, which is 193 miles. We normally do that during the makahiki season to
Right.
open the season for lono, and which is the harvesting time for Hawaii. I've recently, for the past 2 years, took on that responsibility and organized 2 different of those marches now. My father-in-law has graciously given me that responsibility. So I've
Right on.
done one in light of Lono. Yeah, it's a strong overtaking. We're actually trying to organize the next one coming up this October in the opening of the makahiki season. So the makahiki season goes from roughly October into the end of January, sometimes into February, depending on what takes place in the elements. Will tell you when the season comes and goes. So that's kind of how we operate, and
Well,
yeah,
you
we
know,
definitely contribute throughout our community as much as we can.
Kaipo, a quick story here. Uncle Harry Mitchell, you know, I mentioned earlier that I worked with in K&I and Lo'i. He went over and protested the RIMPAC bombing of Kaho'olawe, and he had a paddle board that he made and paddled over there and was on island. And in the newspaper, on the front page of the paper, it had Hawaiian activist, you know, protest bombing, and his mom. You know, he tells me the story. His mom said to him, "Son, what's this I see that you're an act? You know, they're calling you an activist." He goes, "Yeah, Mom, it's because I'm active." And she goes, "Oh, okay, son." You know. So when you told me about your father-in-law, you know, being an activist, it brings a chuckle to my being with Uncle Harry. And so right on, you know, he's in the same fabric of those kupuna that are doing just such amazing work. And I just really appreciate him and appreciate you, Kaipo. Thank you so much, brother, and for all you do and the value you brought to Lahaina
Likewise.
and to HFUU. So I'm really excited that you're going to be at the strategic planning. Your mana'o will be well received, and so it'll be a lot of fun.
Likewise. Appreciate it, Vince. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone. Thank you guys all so much for this great opportunity.
Best of your family tonight. Give all the Keiki a hug for us. Katie, have anything you want to share heading out here to anybody? Okay, well, thank you.
Nope, just, yeah, thank you, Kaipo. Thank you, everyone. That's all.
Yeah, and what we're going to have in 2 weeks, we're going to have Mikala Min, yeah, in 2 weeks from now. And Mikala is, you know, well known as our former president of the Hana chapter, and the project he's doing, Mahele Farms there, that is amazing, and the educational outreach he's doing and mentoring the young folks in Hana to give them a purpose and reason for staying in Hana, to work the land and also feeding the elders in there with the food that comes out of Mahele. So that's going to be a really engaging conversation too, like, as we had here tonight. So from one side of the island, you know, on West Maui, to now we go to the Haleakala side and Hana. We're so blessed, yeah, to have all these rich agricultural regions to speak to and to tap into. So mahalo nui, Kaipo, aloha everybody. Thank you for being on tonight. We love you all, and stay tuned for more of what's coming out of HFUU.